Younger women hate when older guys do this. 7 unattractive habits. Love is not about age, it's about connection, presence, and understanding. Leo Tolstoy. A lot of people like to say that younger women are naturally drawn to older men, and there's truth in that. Experience, emotional control, and a grounded sense of direction can make you stand out without even trying. But here's where most men get it wrong. They assume those qualities will carry them automatically. Because of that, they become careless, repeating the same quiet mistakes that slowly push attraction away instead of building it. I've seen men in their 40s, 50s, even 60s, who have everything going for them: life experience, financial stability, hard earned wisdom, yet they still fail to connect. Not because they lack value, but because they fail to express it the right way. Understand this clearly. Attraction is not about what you have, it's about how you show up, how you carry yourself, how you make her feel in your presence. When you act out of insecurity, try too hard to impress, or forget the calm confidence that should come naturally at your stage in life, you don't just lose her interest, you erase the very advantage that sets you apart. And that's the real loss. Not her, but the version of yourself you fail to step into. The good news is simple and powerful. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to remove what's holding you back, sharpen your awareness, and return to a more centered, self-respecting version of who you already are. Today, we're going to walk through the 7 habits that quietly kill attraction, the ones many men overlook. And once you see them clearly, you won't just improve how women respond to you, you'll elevate your standards, your presence, and the way you move through life entirely. Now pay attention, because the first mistake is where everything begins. Mistake number 1: leading with money. Far too many older men believe their financial success is their ultimate weapon. They believe their years of work, their financial stability, their ability to provide, these things should naturally impress a younger woman. So they talk about it. They highlight it. They lead with it. They mention the car, the trips, the business, the lifestyle. Some go even further. They offer gifts too early. They try to help financially before any real connection exists. And yes, this may catch attention. But understand this clearly: attention is not attraction. That is where most men misunderstand female psychology. What you're getting is curiosity, not genuine interest. You are being evaluated for what you can give, not who you are. And once that frame is set, it is very hard to change. Don't do that. Don't reduce yourself to a transaction. Don't position yourself as a provider before you've even become a person she respects. That is not power. That is dependence disguised as generosity. Real psychology tricks are not about showing value through money. They're about creating emotional intrigue, presence, and depth. That is what triggers real female psychology. A younger woman doesn't stay because you paid. She stays because she feels something. She stays because your presence challenges her, excites her, makes her think, makes her feel alive. That is something money cannot buy. Be clear about this. When you lead with money, you set the lowest possible standard for how she sees you. You become predictable. You become easy. You become replaceable by someone with more. And there will always be someone with more. But when you lead with character, with calm confidence, with a grounded sense of self, that is rare. That is difficult to compete with. That is where true attraction begins. So shift your approach. Let your financial success exist quietly in the background. Let her discover it over time. Let it be a detail, not the headline. Instead, focus on how you speak. Focus on how you listen. Focus on how you carry yourself when there is nothing to prove. That is where real psychology tricks come into play. That is how you align with female psychology in a way that creates respect first, attraction second, and connection last. Remember this: money is a tool, not an identity. Use it wisely, but never lean on it for validation. Be a man who offers an experience, not a transaction. Be a man who brings clarity, not compensation. Because the right woman, the one worth your time, she is not looking for a wallet. She is looking for a man she cannot easily replace. Have you ever considered money to be everything? The ultimate weapon, believing that money alone can buy everything? Feel free to share, it's okay. We're just being honest. As a woman, I hate those kinds of people. I don't mean to despise them, but I hate that mindset that devalues a man so much. Mistake number two, idolizing her. Let's say you find yourself in front of an attractive younger woman. She's beautiful, vibrant, and maybe even intimidating. What's your first instinct? For many older men, it's to freeze up or panic. You think, I can't mess this up. She's way out of my league. So, what happens next? You overcorrect. You give her special treatment. You become overly polite, overly agreeable, overly careful. You filter every word. You avoid any edge, any humor, any real personality. You think you're impressing her, but what you're actually doing is disappearing. You're presenting a version of yourself so safe, so predictable, so polished, that there's nothing left to feel. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear: attraction doesn't grow in perfection. It grows in presence. It grows in authenticity. It grows when a man stands grounded in who he is, not when he tries to perform like a flawless character. A high value man understands this deeply. He doesn't walk into a conversation trying to win approval. He walks in with calm certainty. He listens. He speaks. He expresses. He doesn't rush to impress because he doesn't feel behind. That is how to fall in love the right way, by creating a space where both people can show up as equals, not by turning the interaction into a silent competition where you're already losing in your own head. Now let's go deeper, because this mistake is not just about behavior, it's about belief. When you idolize her, you're not really seeing her. You're seeing a fantasy. You're projecting perfection onto someone who hasn't even had the chance to reveal who she truly is. And in doing that, you rob yourself of clarity. You stop asking, asterisk, is she right for me? Asterisk, and instead obsess over, asterisk, am I good enough for her? Asterisk, that is the wrong question. You must flip it. Always. Because the moment you forget your own standards, you lose your center. And here's the irony, it's exhausting. Trying to maintain that perfect, careful image drains your energy. You overthink every text. You replay every conversation. You analyze every reaction. It becomes a mental marathon with no finish line. And she can feel that weight, even if she can't explain it. People are drawn to ease, not tension. To calm strength, not quiet desperation. If your presence feels like pressure, she will step away without even knowing why. So, what is the solution? Normalize the interaction. Bring it back down to earth. Stop treating her like an event and start treating her like a person. Talk to her the same way you would talk to anyone you respect, not above you, not below you, but beside you. That is where real connection lives. That is where attraction has room to breathe. Make it a habit. Speak to women of all ages. Engage without expectation. Remove the invisible weight you place on outcomes. Because when you detach from needing a specific result, something powerful happens: you relax. And when you relax, you become real. And when you are real, you become magnetic. That is how to fall in love in a way that actually lasts, not through pressure, but through presence. Understand this clearly. She is not a trophy. She is not a prize waiting to be won. She is a human being with her own fears, flaws, and uncertainties. Just like you. The moment you truly see that, the pedestal collapses. And when it collapses, you rise, not above her, but into alignment with yourself. That is the space where a high-value man operates. Calm, grounded, unshaken. And here is the shift that changes everything. You are not auditioning. You are choosing. She is choosing. It is mutual. It is balanced. It is real. When you carry this mindset, the fear of losing her fades away. Why? Because you understand something most men forget. There is always another opportunity, another connection, another woman who will meet you at your level. So don't shrink. Don't perform. Don't idolize. Be present. Be grounded. Be the man who stands firm in his worth without needing to announce it. That is where your power is. That is how to fall in love without losing yourself. And that is what separates a man who chases from a high-value man who attracts. Mistake number 3, messing up the age question. Mistake number 3 is where many men quietly lose the game without even realizing it. They mishandle the age question, And in doing so, they reveal far more than a number. They reveal their inner state. Picture the moment clearly. The conversation is smooth. She's engaged. She's smiling. There is curiosity in her eyes. And then it comes simple, neutral, almost effortless. So, how old are you? Now understand this deeply. The question itself is not the test. Your reaction is the test. And most men fail it instantly. They hesitate. They laugh nervously. They deflect. They rush the answer. Their voice tightens. Their posture shrinks. And in that subtle shift, attraction weakens. Not because of the number, but because of the energy behind it. This is where psychology tricks and female psychology begin to work against you, not for you. Women are not just listening to your words, they are reading your certainty. They are measuring how you carry your reality. When you treat your age like a problem, you silently ask her to see it as one too. That is the mistake. That is where you lose control of the frame. Now here is the truth most men refuse to accept. Age is rarely the issue. Your relationship with your age is. A man who is grounded, self-assured, and at peace with himself does not flinch at simple questions. He does not negotiate with reality. He stands in it. But when a man has internal doubt, when he has absorbed society's quiet pressure that says, "You're too old," he carries that belief into every interaction. And women feel it immediately. This is female psychology at its core. She responds to your emotional certainty, not just your words. If you are unsure, she becomes unsure. If you are steady, she relaxes. That is the game. That is the unspoken rule. So, what must you do? First, don't avoid the question. Don't dance around it. Don't over-explain. Simplicity is power. If humor fits your personality, use it with intention, not desperation. Say something playful like, "I'm probably way too old for you. We should be careful," and hold eye contact with a calm smile. That is confidence. That is control. Or say, "I'm 700 months old, give or take," and let the moment breathe. Humor works only when it comes from ease, not from hiding. That is the difference most men miss. If humor isn't your style, then be direct. Say your age clearly, "I'm 47. Then stop. No justification. No nervous laughter. No explanation. Just presence. Then smoothly continue the conversation as if nothing significant happened, because in your world, nothing did. That is how you lead the frame. That is how psychology tricks become tools instead of traps. Understand this deeply. Women are drawn to men who are comfortable in their own skin. Not perfect men. Not younger men. Not richer men. Comfortable men. A man who does not apologize for his existence is rare. And rarity creates attraction. When you answer the age question with calm certainty, you communicate something far more powerful than a number. You communicate stability, self-respect, and emotional control. That is what she feels. That is what stays with her. That is what separates you from the insecure crowd. But if you hesitate, if you show even a hint of discomfort, the opposite happens. She doesn't just hear your age, she feels your doubt. And once doubt enters the interaction, it spreads quietly. She begins to question things she wasn't questioning before. She begins to pull back, not consciously, but instinctively. This is how attraction fades, not with a loud rejection, but with a subtle shift in energy. This is female psychology in motion, and if you don't understand it, you will keep losing opportunities without knowing why. So here is the rule you must remember. Don't fight reality, frame it. Your age is not something to defend. It is something to own. It represents experience. It represents stories. It represents lessons most younger men don't have. But none of that matters if you don't believe it yourself. Confidence is not built in the moment she asks the question. It is built long before in how you see yourself every day. Fix that and the question becomes easy. Ignore that and no line, no trick, no strategy will save you. Be calm. Be direct. Be playful if it fits. But above all, be unapologetic. That is the standard. That is the difference. That is how a simple question becomes an opportunity to demonstrate strength instead of exposing insecurity. And when you master this, you stop reacting, you start leading. Mistake number 4, overloading with achievements. overloading with achievements, and this is where many men quietly lose the game without even realizing it. They walk into a conversation and, instead of creating a moment, they start presenting a resume. They list their wins, their status, their money, their past. They think this is how they attract women. It isn't. It never has been. Because attraction is not built on information. It's built on emotion. It's built on connection. A woman doesn't lean in because you checked impressive boxes. She leans in because she feels something in your presence. And when all she hears is you talking about yourself, your achievements, your success, it doesn't feel like confidence. It feels like you're trying to prove something. And the moment you try to prove your value, you quietly signal that you're unsure of it. As Dale Carnegie once said, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. That is not just social advice, that is a law of attraction. You must understand this. The man who truly embodies masculine energy doesn't need to announce his worth. He doesn't need to convince. He doesn't need to impress. He allows his presence, his calm, his attention to do the work for him. That is power. That is what attracts women on a deeper level. So don't turn conversations into performances. Don't dominate the space with your story. Be still. Be curious. Ask questions that actually matter. Listen like it's rare, because it is. Most people don't listen anymore. They wait for their turn to speak. You must be different. You must be the man who makes her feel seen, not overshadowed. Because when a woman feels understood, she opens. When she opens, connection begins. And when connection begins, attraction follows naturally. That is the sequence. Not achievements first. Not status first. Connection first. Always. Think about it this way. Anyone can talk about what they've done. You can make someone feel something. And in today's world, where everyone is trying to show off, the man who knows how to create emotional space stands out immediately. He doesn't chase attention, he commands it quietly. That is masculine energy at its finest. Calm, grounded, unshaken. You don't need louder words. You need deeper presence. And here is the truth you need to accept. Your achievements are not your identity. They are part of your story, yes, but they are not what makes you attractive. If you rely on them too heavily, you become predictable. Worse, you become transactional. It starts to feel like you're saying, "Look at what I have, so you should like me." No, that is not how attraction works. Attraction is not a trade. It is a response. A natural, emotional response to how someone feels around you. So shift your focus. Instead of thinking, "How can I impress her?" ask yourself, "How can I understand her?" Instead of thinking, "What should I say next about me?" ask, "What can I learn about her?" That shift alone will transform your interactions. Because when you focus on her, when you truly engage, you create a dynamic most men completely miss. You become memorable. You become different. You become the man she thinks about later, not because of what you said about yourself, but because of how she felt when she was with you. As Marcus Aurelius taught, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That applies here perfectly. Don't talk about your value. Live it. Don't describe your strength. Show it through your calm, your patience, your attention. Let her discover who you are over time. Discovery creates intrigue. Intrigue builds attraction. And attraction built this way is real, not forced. You must understand, to attract women consistently, you need to master restraint. Say less. Feel more. Guide the conversation, but don't dominate it. Lead, but don't overwhelm. Your energy should invite, not pressure. That is the difference between a man who tries and a man who succeeds. One is chasing validation. The other is grounded in self-worth. So the next time you're in a conversation, catch yourself. If you feel the urge to list your achievements, pause. Breathe. Redirect. Ask her something meaningful. Let silence exist for a moment. Don't rush to fill it with your accomplishments. Because confidence is comfortable with silence. Insecurity rushes to speak. And remember this, your goal is not to impress every woman. Your goal is to create a connection with the right one. And that only happens when you stop performing and start being present. That is how you attract women naturally. That is how masculine energy expresses itself quietly, steadily, without force. Master this, and everything changes. Ignore it, and you'll keep wondering why your success on paper never translates into real attraction in life. Mistake number 5, positioning yourself as a mentor. Positioning yourself as a mentor and thinking that wisdom alone will spark desire. It won't. In fact, it often does the opposite. Many men, especially those who have built experience over decades, fall into this subtle trap. They step into the role of the guide, the advisor, the one who knows better. They offer career tips, life lessons, strategic thinking, and they believe, quietly, almost unconsciously, that this will make them more attractive, that this will make her see them as a high value man. But here's the uncomfortable truth: respect is not the same as attraction, and guidance, when misplaced, slowly drains the emotional tension that attraction feeds on. Think about it. When you position yourself as a mentor, you create a hierarchy. You are above. She is learning. That is not a romantic dynamic. That is a classroom. That is a coaching session. That is safe, predictable, structured. And attraction? Attraction lives in uncertainty, in playfulness, in emotional spark. So when you lead with advice, when you constantly help, when you correct, guide, and instruct, you unknowingly shift yourself into a role she files away as useful, but not exciting. That is the moment the door quietly closes, even if you don't hear it. Don't misunderstand. Being knowledgeable is powerful. Being experienced is attractive, but only when it is expressed with lightness, with ease, with restraint. You must understand this clearly. A high-value man does not need to prove his wisdom at every turn. He reveals it naturally, casually, almost as a side effect of how he lives. That is what creates intrigue. That is what makes her lean in, not sit back and take notes. There's a quiet quote often attributed to those who understand human nature deeply: people don't fall in love with your resume. They fall in love with how they feel around you. And that is where many men miss the mark. They try to impress instead of connect. They try to teach instead of tease. They try to lead with logic when attraction is driven by emotion. That is why understanding how to fall in love, truly, requires more than intelligence. It requires emotional awareness, timing, energy. Be honest with yourself. If every conversation feels like guidance, if every interaction turns into advice, if you're always the one helping her figure things out, then stop. Reset. Don't do that. That is not building attraction. That is building dependency without desire. And dependency without desire leads nowhere meaningful. Instead, shift your presence. Be playful. That is not immaturity, it is confidence. A man who can laugh, tease, and keep things light shows control over himself. He shows that he is not trying too hard. And that effortlessness? That is magnetic. Add small moments of humor. Challenge her lightly. Don't agree with everything. That is important. Agreement creates comfort, but contrast creates spark. You must learn to balance both. Be clear in your interest. That is where many hide. They stay in the mentor zone because it feels safe. There is no risk there, no rejection, but there is also no reward. You must step out of that role early. You must let her feel that you see her as a woman, not a student. That doesn't mean being overly direct or intense. No, it means subtle signals, a compliment that carries warmth, eye contact that lingers just a second longer, a tone that shifts slightly when you speak to her. These are the things that create emotional texture. This is how to fall in love, not through instruction, but through experience. And understand this deeply. Timing matters. If you spend weeks, even months, building a mentor-student dynamic and then suddenly try to pivot into something romantic, it will feel forced, awkward, out of place, because the foundation is wrong. You trained her to see you a certain way. And changing that perception is far harder than creating the right one from the start. That is why you must be intentional early. Don't wait. Don't hide. Set the tone from the beginning. At the same time, don't swing to the other extreme. Don't abandon your depth just to appear fun. That is not the answer either. The key is balance. Be wise, but don't lecture. Be experienced, but don't preach. Be confident, but stay relaxed. That is the sweet spot. That is where a high value man lives. He doesn't need to dominate the conversation with knowledge. He doesn't need to prove anything. He simply expresses himself fully, intellect and play combined. Modern life makes this even more important. Today, younger women are surrounded by information. They have access to advice everywhere, social media, podcasts, endless voices telling them what to do. So when you come in and try to be another source of guidance, you don't stand out. You blend in. But when you bring presence, energy, and emotional connection, that is rare. That is memorable. That is what creates attraction in a world full of noise. So here's the principle you must carry forward. Don't teach her how to live. Show her how it feels to be around you. That is the difference. One is intellectual. The other is emotional. And attraction always follows emotion. Be aware. Be intentional. Be a man who understands both strength and softness, wisdom and play. That is how you step out of the mentor trap. That is how you become someone she doesn't just respect, but genuinely desires. And that ultimately is the foundation of learning how to fall in love in a way that actually works. Mistake number 6. Trying too hard to look young. This is where many older men lose the plot, and they lose it fast. They start dressing like they are chasing a trend instead of building a presence. They copy the slang, borrow the attitude, follow the fashion of men 20 years younger, and hope that imitation will create attraction. It will not. It almost always does the opposite. It creates confusion. It creates tension. It makes a man look as if he is running away from his own season in life instead of standing tall inside it. And people can feel that. They may not always say it out loud, but they feel it. As Oscar Wilde said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." That line matters here. It matters more than most men realize. Because the moment you start performing youth instead of expressing character, you stop showing the very trait that can actually attract women: self-possession. You do not need to look younger to become more appealing. You need to look like a man who respects himself. You need to sound like a man who knows himself. You need to carry yourself like a man who is not trying to borrow identity from the culture around him. That is masculine energy, not noise, not trend chasing, not imitation. Certainty, composure, authenticity. That is what lands. That is what stays. That is what people remember. Modern life makes this mistake easier than ever to fall into because everything today pushes image, speed, and reinvention. Social media rewards the costume. Advertising sells insecurity and then offers style as a cure. Men scroll through endless feeds and start believing they must compete in a young man's game to stay relevant. Do not believe that lie. You are not here to compete with younger men by becoming a copy of them. You are here to become more fully yourself. That is your edge. That is your leverage. That is your power. A man in his 40s, 50s, or 60s who is well-dressed, well-groomed, physically cared for, emotionally steady, and mentally sharp will outshine a man trying too hard to look trendy every single time. Why? Because presence beats performance. Depth beats imitation. Reality beats costume. When your clothes fit well, when your body language is calm, when your speech is clear, when your eyes show peace instead of approval-seeking, people notice. They always notice. You do not attract women by looking like you are trying to be 25 again. You attract women by becoming unmistakably solid where you are right now. And let's be precise, owning your age does not mean giving up. It does not mean dressing carelessly, neglecting your body, or using maturity as an excuse to become stale. No, dress sharp. Stay healthy. Lift weights. Walk with energy. Take care of your skin. Get a haircut that suits your face, not a trend that belongs to somebody else's life. Choose clothes that are clean, fitted, masculine, and timeless. Speak with authenticity. Speak without trying to sound younger than you are. Let your words come from experience, not performance. That is masculine energy in action. Calm, clear, unforced. A younger woman is not usually impressed by a man pretending to be younger. She is more often drawn to a man who is comfortable in his own skin, a man whose maturity feels like strength, not apology. As Steve Jobs said, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. That applies here directly. Stop living someone else's age. Stop wearing someone else's identity. Stop copying someone else's rhythm. The man who wins is the man who accepts his stage of life and turns it into style, substance, and confidence. He does not chase youth. He refines himself. He does not beg for relevance. He becomes undeniable. That is how to attract women in the real world, not in fantasy. Because real attraction is not built on gimmicks. It is built on congruence. When the way you dress matches the way you speak, when the way you speak matches the way you think, and when the way you think matches the life you have actually lived, you become believable. And believability is attractive. In modern dating, where so much feels fake, rehearsed, filtered, and inflated, a man who feels real has an enormous advantage. Do not miss that. The world is flooded with performance. Be presence. The world is flooded with noise. Be clarity. The world is flooded with men trying to prove something. Be the man who no longer needs to. That is masculine energy. That is rare. That is powerful. And here is the instruction. Stop competing with younger men. That battle is foolish because it is based on the wrong standard. They have youth. Fine. You have perspective. You have restraint. You have life experience. You have scars that taught you something. You have stories that gave you shape. You have lessons that gave you gravity. Use them. Lean into your maturity. Let it show in your calm decisions, your patience, your style, your boundaries, your standards, and your voice. A man who is centered is hard to ignore. A man who is comfortable being exactly who he is can attract women without theatrics. He does not need to oversell. He does not need to overtalk. He does not need to overdress. He only needs to align. So remember this and remember it well. Do not chase youth. Refine your presence. Do not copy trends. Sharpen your identity. Do not perform for attention. Build a life that naturally commands respect. That is the path. That is the discipline. That is how you master life instead of begging life to validate you. And once you understand that, everything changes. You stop fearing age. You start using it. You stop hiding your years. You start wearing them with intelligence. You stop trying to impress everyone. You start becoming the kind of man whose quiet confidence does the work for him. That is how to attract women. That is how to build real appeal. That is how masculine energy becomes visible without ever needing to shout. Mistake number 7. Neglecting your physical presence. Neglecting your physical presence, and this is where many men quietly lose the game without even realizing it. They assume experience will carry them. They believe success will speak for them. They trust personality alone will do the work. Don't fall into that trap. That is outdated thinking. That is ignoring a core truth about attraction. Attraction begins before a single word is spoken. It begins with what is seen. This is not shallow. This is human nature. This is where psychology tricks and female psychology quietly shape first impressions in seconds. Don't misunderstand this. You don't need perfection. You don't need to chase unrealistic standards. But you must show effort. You must show intention. You must show that you respect yourself. Because the moment you stop trying, it shows. And not just a little, it shows everywhere. In your posture, in your grooming, in your energy, in your presence. Women notice these things instantly, often unconsciously. That's how female psychology works. She doesn't sit there analyzing you step by step. She feels it. She senses it. And that feeling becomes her truth about you. Be clear. Your physical presence is not just about looks. It is a signal. It is communication without words. When you take care of your body, your style, your hygiene, you are sending a message. I value myself. And that message is powerful. Because in female psychology, how a man treats himself is often seen as a preview of how he will treat everything else in his life. His work, his challenges, his relationships, even her. That is why neglect is so costly. It doesn't say, I'm relaxed. It says, I've stopped growing. And that is never attractive. Don't ignore this. Don't argue with it. Reality doesn't bend to opinions. If you want to stand out, you must take ownership of how you show up. Clean grooming. That is not optional. That is baseline. Good style. That doesn't mean expensive. That means intentional. Clothes that fit. Colors that suit you. Simplicity with purpose. Healthy habits. That is your foundation. Because energy is visible. A man who takes care of his body moves differently, stands differently, speaks differently. That energy cannot be faked. And that is where psychology tricks work in your favor without you saying a word. Be the man who pays attention to details. Because details reveal discipline. Your haircut, your skin, your posture, your walk, your eye contact. These are not small things. These are signals. Signals that are constantly being read and interpreted through female psychology. And here's the truth most men ignore. People decide how they feel about you before you ever get a chance to explain yourself. So don't leave that decision to chance. Control what you can control. Don't say, I'm too old for this. That is an excuse. Don't say, it shouldn't matter. That is denial. It does matter. It always has. And the men who accept this reality and act on it gain an unfair advantage. Because while others are coasting, they are sharpening. While others are neglecting, they are refining. That difference shows. And women notice it. Not because they are judging harshly, but because they are wired to respond to signals of care, discipline, and self-respect. That is female psychology at work again. Be consistent. That is the key. Not perfection. Consistency. A man who takes care of himself every day builds presence. And presence is powerful. Presence is what people feel when you walk into a room. It's not just how you look, it's how you carry yourself. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've done the work. That confidence is not loud. It doesn't need to be. It is steady. It is grounded. And it draws people in naturally. Understand this deeply. Neglecting your physical presence is not neutral. It is a silent disadvantage, while improving it is a silent advantage. Every small improvement compounds. Every effort builds momentum. And over time, that becomes your identity. A man who shows up sharp, clean, intentional, that man stands out without trying too hard. And that is exactly what makes him attractive. So take action. Start simple. Fix your grooming. Upgrade your wardrobe step by step. Build better habits. Move your body. Stand taller. Look people in the eye. Be intentional with how you present yourself every single day. Because when you respect yourself at that level, it radiates. It spreads. It becomes part of your aura. And that energy, rooted in discipline, self-awareness, and quiet strength, is something no one can ignore and no one can replicate without doing the work. Bonus: lacking emotional control. Mistake number 8 is lacking emotional control, and this is where many men sabotage themselves without even realizing it, because they spend years trying to improve the outside while leaving the inside completely undisciplined. And the truth is simple. If your emotions are unstable, your presence will be unstable, and if your presence is unstable, attraction will never feel safe, solid, or lasting to the woman in front of you. A lot of men between 35 and 70 still believe attraction is mostly about saying the right lines, having the right look, or learning clever ways to attract women, but that is only the surface. The deeper game is emotional steadiness. The deeper game is self-command. The deeper game is masculine energy expressed through calm, control, and consistency. You can have style. You can have money. You can have status. You can have life experience. But if one delayed text shakes your mood, if one mixed signal ruins your confidence, if one small change in her tone sends your mind into panic, then everything else you built starts to lose its strength. That is the hard truth. That is the truth many men avoid. And that is exactly why this mistake is so damaging. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That is not just ancient wisdom. That is modern instruction. That is how a man protects his center in a world full of noise, speed, confusion, and emotional bait. Think about modern dating for a moment. Everything moves fast. Messages arrive instantly. Replies are expected quickly. Social media creates comparison. Dating apps create false urgency. 1 minute things feel warm. The next minute, they feel distant, and many men respond to that instability by becoming unstable themselves. They overanalyze. They overtext. They overexplain. They rush to repair something that may not even be broken. Don't do that. Don't let temporary uncertainty pull you out of your frame. Don't hand your piece over to somebody else's timing. Don't let another person's mood become the controller of your inner world. Because the moment your emotional state depends on her behavior, you are no longer leading yourself. You are reacting. You are following. And women feel that. They may not always describe it clearly, but female psychology notices emotional instability very quickly. A younger woman is not only watching what you say, she is feeling how you say it. She is sensing whether your attention is grounded or needy, whether your interest is calm or anxious, whether your masculine energy is centered or easily shaken. That is why emotional control matters so much if you want to attract women in a real, lasting way. It is not about becoming cold. It is not about pretending not to care. It is not about acting distant or playing games. It is about caring without collapsing. It is about feeling without losing structure. It is about remaining connected to yourself while engaging with someone else. That is maturity. That is discipline. That is power. Many men lose attraction not because they lacked value, but because they revealed too much emotional dependence too early. She takes longer to respond, and suddenly they need reassurance. She seems a little distracted, and suddenly they start pushing harder. She becomes less available, and suddenly they begin chasing clarity like their peace depends on it. Don't do that. That behavior communicates pressure. It communicates insecurity. It communicates that your emotional balance is fragile. And fragile energy does not create deep attraction. Calm energy does. Stable energy does. Grounded masculine energy does. This is why the men who truly attract women are rarely the loudest, the flashiest, or the most dramatic. Usually, they are the steadiest. They know how to pause. They know how to wait. They know how to breathe before they react. They know how to let silence exist without turning it into a crisis. That is strength. Quiet strength. Reliable strength. Attractive strength. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. That line cuts straight to the point. If you are ruled by impulse, ruled by anxiety, ruled by the need for quick validation, then you are not operating from freedom. You are operating from fear. And fear always leaks into behavior. It leaks into your tone. It leaks into your texting. It leaks into your body language. It leaks into the entire atmosphere around you. That is why self-mastery must come first. Before strategy. Before technique. Before any attempt to attract women. Because without self-mastery, every method becomes distorted by inner instability. So, what should you do instead? First, slow down your reactions. Not your interest. Not your honesty. Your reactions. When something changes, observe before you respond. When uncertainty appears, don't rush to erase it. Sit with it. Study it. Let your nervous system settle before your mouth moves, before your fingers type, before your emotions decide the next step. Second, stop measuring your worth through her attention. This is where many men quietly lose their power. They feel high when she is warm and low when she is distant. They feel strong when she is responsive and doubtful when she pulls back. That is too much dependence. That is too much emotional outsourcing. Your confidence must come from your standards, your habits, your discipline, your life, your mission, not from a woman's temporary behavior. Third, build a life that keeps you anchored. Men who are too emotionally reactive are often men with too much empty space, too much waiting, too much focus on one person, too little purpose outside the interaction. Fix that. Train your body, strengthen your routines, protect your sleep, build meaningful work, stay connected to your goals. A man with structure is harder to shake. A man with direction is harder to disturb. A man with purpose naturally carries stronger masculine energy because his whole identity is not hanging on one conversation, one woman, or one outcome. That is why emotional control is not just about attraction. It is about life mastery. It is about becoming the kind of man who does not break every time life becomes unpredictable. As Viktor Frankl wrote, Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That space is everything. That space is where emotional control lives. That space is where masculine energy becomes visible. So use that space. Live in that space. Grow stronger in that space. Because every time you choose calm over panic, restraint over chasing, clarity over emotional noise, you become more solid, more attractive, more respected, and more in command of your life. And here is the deeper victory. Once you master this, you stop obsessing over how to attract women because your whole presence starts doing the work for you. You become easier to trust, easier to respect, easier to feel safe around. Your words hit harder because they are backed by steadiness. Your silence feels stronger because it is controlled. Your attention feels better because it is given freely, not desperately. That is the kind of masculine energy people remember. So remember this and hold it tightly. Emotional control is not optional. It is the foundation. Master your thoughts. Master your reactions. Master your state. Because when you master your emotions, you master your life. And when you master your life, you naturally attract women without chasing, without pressure, and without losing yourself. Hey, my friend, I'm really glad you stayed all the way to the end. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything comes together. Those 7 mistakes we talked about, idolizing her, mishandling the age gap, leading with money, stepping into that mentor role, trying too hard to look young, over-talking your achievements, and neglecting your presence, they're not just random habits. They all point to one deeper issue. You're not fully owning who you are. And the moment a man stops owning himself, he starts losing his edge without even realizing it. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. Attraction doesn't come from trying harder. It doesn't come from proving more. It doesn't come from stacking up achievements and hoping she'll be impressed. Real attraction begins when you remove the need to impress altogether. When you're grounded, when you're calm, when you walk into a room and your energy says, I know who I am and I don't need validation. That's power. Quiet power. Take a moment and think about this. When you stop chasing approval, you start commanding respect. When you stop over-explaining, your words gain weight. When you stop performing, you become real, and that's what people connect with. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That's not just philosophy. That's instruction. So here's my sincere advice to you. Focus on your presence every single day. Not your money, not your age, not your past achievements. Your presence, the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you stay calm under pressure. Build that, and everything else starts to align naturally. Be grounded. Be confident. Be real. Not loud confidence. Not forced charm. Real confidence, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. And if this message hit you, if you felt something shift even a little bit, don't just watch and forget. Take action. Start showing up differently today. Because the man who masters himself wins in every area of life. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you in the next video.